Everyone, welcome back to the workshop. Got a quick one today. I have a bunch of these plastic key fobs from work. We need to add some serial numbers to them so we can get them out and assigned. Figured this was a perfect job for the Commarker Omni 1. That's a UV laser. It does really well at marking plastic. And so I'm going to be setting up a jig. We're going to cut that out on the Reno 45 down here. We'll get that all aligned. We'll put the sequential numbers in there. Maybe a quick refresher on how to do that with Lightburn. And then I just need to figure out a way to keep these all in order. So if you want to see this in action, see how it's done, stay tuned. I'm going to jump right into it. All right, so we're going to need to make a jig or a fixture for this. So I need to get the outline of the key. There's a number of different ways to do this, but one of the easiest ways is to just trace the object. You want to use a nice clean white sheet of printer paper. I'm using a dark, just black line, trying to make a nice fine line. And then I also like to add in reference marks. So I'm going to draw a 1-inch line in both the X and Y axis. This will allow me to scale this relatively closely once we bring it into Lightburn. So like I say, going both vertically and horizontally allow us to scale this. After I'm done with that, I'll just take a picture of this with my smartphone, trying to make sure it's straight top down as possible, and then we'll bring it into Lightburn. All right, so we have our piece of paper, and we've gone ahead and taken the photo of this to import this into Lightburn. So the keys there, nice white background, as clean lines as possible, nice contrast, not a lot of extra lines. And we're going to bring it into Lightburn. So I've already done that. Let's jump in over here, and we'll import this in. You do see I've got a few little stray marks from that pen. That's okay, but the cleaner the line, the better. So what I want to do is, first I'm going to scale this to size. Let's go on the tool layer. We're going to draw a line from point A to point B horizontally, and now I'm going to select this, come up to our width, make sure we're in inches, and we're just going to make sure that is 1 inch in width. And now I can bring this over here and we can start scaling this down. So as you can see, the photo is a little large. We want that line to just take up the space there. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this down to where it's close, and then we can kind of zoom in and check. And looks like we're still maybe just a little bit under, so I'll bring it back up a little bit more. Maybe even rotate the picture just a bit so that's nice and straight. We want it to basically be from tip to tip. And you don't want to, you don't need to futz with this too much. We can maybe go just a touch larger. For this, that's pretty good. You know, I think if we move this over just right, there we go. Now we're 1 inch to 1 inch. Not spending a whole lot of time with that, but that gets our scale correct. So what we can do is now delete our line. You have two different options here. You could just start bringing in objects and trying to size them the right size to your photo. If you wanted to, you could, you know, bring this circle in, start scaling it down, drawing your lines that way. That would definitely work. But we're going to go ahead and try a trace image on this. So we're going to select the photo, right click, trace image, and here we can kind of adjust our threshold to get it as clean as possible. What we're really worried about is this inside line, and you can play around with the threshold, you can play around with your smoothness, you can try bumping that up or down to see if it makes a difference. But we really just kind of want that inner circle. Once we're happy with that, we can go ahead and hit OK. I'm going to pull this over here, and I'm going to ungroup that. Let's go ahead and put it on our primary layer. And now we can take away the outer side, take away that, all these extra little bits like that, and clean up all that. So that kind of leaves us with this shape. There's a little bit of irregularity there, but that's okay. We'll deal with that. All right, so this is going to be our inside shape that the key fob is going to fit into. What we can do is go ahead and do an offset, because we need to make a bracket for this. So I'm going to go ahead, come to our offset, and a lot of times mine defaults to 1/4 inch because that's what works. We want to go outside. We do not want to delete the original object. Sometimes that's checked, so make sure that's unchecked, and we'll hit OK. This looks pretty good for starters. And so now what we can do is we're going to need to cut this off towards the top a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and take our line tool, and I'm just going to arbitrarily somewhere about halfway up, I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to hold shift, and holding shift just makes it straight. There we go. There's our line that we need. And now what I can do is start coming into our edit mode. So this is your edit nodes. And what we want to do is come in and start inserting some nodes. So I'm going to hit I where these lines intersect. On both the inner, I'm going to also select this one and go ahead and hit I. Come over here, hit I. That will add the nodes where we need those intersecting, and then we can go ahead and hover over this space, hit D. Same thing over here. We'll delete that, and then we'll come to this inside one, delete that, and here. So this will allow us to now just get rid of this upper chunk. We don't need that. Delete that out of here. And we can come back into our node editing for this, and we can do the same thing. We're going to go hit insert one there, insert one there. We're going to delete this outside one. Insert one there, insert one there. Now we can delete the inside and the outside. Now there are other ways to do this, but this is just one way I'm using now. Go ahead and select all. You see the dashed lines are going in two different directions. That means they're not joined. So we're going to go ahead and hit edit and auto join selected shapes, and that looks pretty good. So there's kind of our outline shape, and that'll work. You could clean it up if you wanted. You know, if you didn't want this little burble in there. Another thing you can do is kind of split this in half, mirror it, but we're just going to roll with that. Now I do need to make a base plate that this is going to sit on. This is going to be our upper piece. So we're going to go ahead and draw a shape. Now the holes on the Commarker Omni 1, they're spaced at every 25 millimeters. So that comes out to be at 4 inches in the corners we'd have it. So I'm going to draw a box, and then I'm going to go ahead and change this to 5 by 5 inches. And just to make it a little bit cleaner, I'm going to go ahead and hit a radius on the corners. I've got it at 0.5. So we're just going to click in the corners. This isn't needed, but it cleans it up just a little bit and make sure it's not going to snag anything. All right, so we have that. We have our inner shape. And if you want, you can center these. So just select both of them. That'll center that in there. Now we need to add our holes for bolting it to the grid. So I'm going to come here with our circle tool, and those are 5 millimeter screws. So I'm going to go ahead and switch this to millimeter, and I am going to change this to actually 6 millimeter holes, which will give us a little bit of wiggle room. And then we can make an array. So we want to go 2 and 2, and you want to make sure that your distance to center is turned on. And then we want our overall spacing to be 100 and 100. Mine is there because I've made some of these jigs before like this. But that will put our center spacing at 100 millimeters. So that should line these up perfectly, both vertically and horizontally. Once we're done with that, we can hit OK. Now that is grouped. I do want to come back and group this because we don't want anything to change, but now I can bring this back up here, and I want those basically centered together. We're going to click center all. That looks good. And then I'm going to go ahead and group that as well. Now the last thing I want to add is a little pocket for our finger. So I am going to grab our circle tool once more. And actually I'm going to drag our photo over here so we have a little visual reference on what we're doing. So if that's where the key fob is going to sit, we want our little finger hole to be able to pop this out to be a little bit above it and within those 2 marks. So about like that. Now I'm going to take this, get it out of the way, and then we can go ahead and we're going to line these vertically center. And that looks pretty close. So we've got a little bit bigger gap on the one side. So, and that's just because this probably isn't uniform. But it's going to be close enough for what we needed to do. So I'm just going to nudge that over to the center, and that should be good. All right, so we really don't need the picture anymore. Ungroup this because I just want to grab this center part. This one I'm going to change to a line, but then I'm also going to copy it, paste it over here, and this one we're going to bring back here because we need to cut this out, but I'm marking this with just a score line. These are all going to be cuts, and then we can regroup this. Now, the other part of this is ready to cut out on the Reno, so I'll send that off to that. But to make our template, what I'm also going to want to do is in the middle of these key fobs, there's a kind of an inner circle where I want to target the engraving. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw a circle, and it needs to be 24 millimeters. So 24 millimeter there. I'm going to put this on the tool layer. And this is what we're going to adjust in the laser. It's going to be roughly centered in this opening, but we're going to turn all the rest of this off as far as output, and we will have just this circle in here for framing. That will allow us to adjust this and align everything to where it's going to get locked down into the laser. We then frame off of this circle, off the inner circle on the key fob. That'll get our alignment, and then we will, once we're happy with all that, everything on here, we would turn off the output, and we would also then lock selected shapes. Now you can come in and add your text, and it won't affect this. So for our text, what we're going to do is we are going to add serial numbers, and they're just going to be like 0035, and we would center that to this circle. I'm going to move this to our engrave layer though. So what we would do is center that both vertically and horizontally, so you can do it both ways. But what we want to do is change the formatting on this. So we come up here, and instead of normal, we want to hit serial number. And then what I want to do is go 0 and then lowercase d, because we want 4 leading zeros. Now, if you come over onto the right side here, you should see variable text. And you can adjust these numbers from 3 on up to whatever. We're going to be starting actually at 30. And if you hit test, you see it changes that into the decimal number. And you see I have 4 Ds. It's going to have 4 digits. If I take away one of the Ds, it will take away one of the digits. If I add a couple Ds, it will add all those. So depending on your format, you want that. You do want to make sure auto advance is on. So then if I hit next, as in if I hit the button, it should advance 31, 32, 33. So every time I hit that pedal or the button, it should advance to the next job without having to reset anything or retype this. So that's how we're going to serialize the numbers, get them all in order. So let's hop back out there. We'll get everything lined up with the laser, and then we'll run all these keys through. So I'm using the Monport Reno 45 Pro. This is a bench top CO2 laser, and I recently did an air assist upgrade on it using an external air compressor and a relay. It's got this working really well to cut out this 3mm or 8-inch Baltic birch plywood that works very well for making these jigs. So if you're looking for a benchtop CO2 laser, this is one you might want to consider. It's fairly inexpensive, roughly $1,400 at the time of this video, and works really nice for projects like this, and also opens up things such as acrylic. But we'll go ahead and get this cut out, and then we need to glue it together. So I'm just going to go ahead and use some Starbond medium CA. Got a little bit of accelerator on there, and I did burn in just the outline of this little bracket. It's going to help me line that up in place. So just get a little bead of glue on there, not too much so it has excessive squeeze out. Put it in place, and then we'll use a little bit of the activator to make sure that glue cures right away. With the jig all dry, we're just going to do a quick test fit. It snaps in nicely, but easy to pop out. We're going to drop that into the center place, and I do have these 5mm thumb screws, and we're actually just going to use the two corners, get those in place, lock it down tight. That should hold it firmly. One more test to make sure we can drop those in and then pop them out. They don't move or rotate, which is nice. We can flip it on either side we want. With the fit good, we're going to go ahead and check our alignment. So we're just making sure those numbers are centered, and then we can start sending the job. It does a 2-pass crosshatch, engraves in really about 3-4 seconds. And as you see, it gives a nice contrast mark on those keys. So now we can go ahead and advance these. Going to get the sequential numbers as we set up in the software. And basically at this point, it's just drop them in place, hit the button, let it do its burn, and move on to the next. And we'll get through all 40 or so keys that we've got in this batch. Commarker is really good to include a nice material library with this laser. So we're using the plastic settings. Those are 1000mm a second at 40 kilohertz, a line interval of 0.03 millimeters, Q pulse of 15, and doing a single pass with crosshatch to get all of these done. So I need a way to keep these kind of in order since they are serialized sequentially. So I found a file for this kind of cable chain, and so I 3D printed out the parts, and we're going to glue it together. I used just simple PLA, and I'm using TPU filament for the cable. I've actually ordered a real one on Amazon for long-term use, but thought it'd be fun to try this out. We do have to glue these in, so I'm using a little CA and accelerator. We got to slide that kind of the screw-on part and then the end cap on. Again, just using some accelerator to cure the glue. Then I added basically that little spacer there to keep the keychains from going off the one end. And we just start dropping them on in reverse order.
There we have all those keychains. There's almost 40 of them on there. We do them in batches. And so the Omni one made quick work out of that. And surprisingly, this TPU keychain's working pretty well. I don't think I'm going to leave these on here long term. I'm going to get an actual stainless steel cable one. But having this little end stop on there will help us tell which side it's on, and then just slide the next one off. Hopefully I showed you a little bit how you can make your own jig for something like the Omni 1 and give you the idea of marking these keys. Also, hopefully that tip on doing serial numbers. I have a full video on making the serial numbers and sequential numbers. If you want to check that out, it goes into a little more detail about adding text and making an array, using them on a gantry-based laser as well. So I'll have that linked down below as well. And if you're interested in the Omni 1 for things like this, it's great for marking materials such as plastic, glass, leather. It does nice cold burn. It can even cut some woods and such. I'll have a link down below to that as well. Loving this laser for jobs like this. It makes it very simple and quick work out of it. So always appreciate using those links. They do provide a small commission to me, but always just happy to give you some good information. So anyway, let me know what you thought of this. Let me give me any questions or comments down below. That all helps the algorithm, and I love the interaction with people. So hit me up down below. If you're new here, consider hitting that subscribe button, and check out everything else on the channel, as well as the Sunday night live streams I do with my friend, the Clack Shack. Sunday night, 7 p.m. Central, we hop on here and answer viewer questions, talk about projects like this, just have a fun time hanging out with all of you, and it's fun to get the real-time interaction. So check that out if you want. Otherwise, hopefully see you in a future video. I'm going to wrap this up here, but once again, thanks for watching, and we will see you soon. But I hope you get in your workshop and make something too. We'll catch you next time.